Hey everyone, it's Cyber Bunny again. Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm going to do something on cutting. Now, I personally don't cut a model out of an image. However, I used to a long time ago. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to work big. Now, this right here is 3000 by 2000, and you're probably going, whoa. The reason for that is because once you start to shrink it down to avatar size, it's going to hide a lot of your mistakes. Now, the big thing is I go through and I start taking out all of, I don't even get close to the model yet. I just start taking out most of the background. And I use a feathered brush. I'm going to tell you right now, don't use a feathered brush. And here, I'll actually change it. Use a hard brush, your hardness up to 1000. Go ahead and make sure that your spacing is all the way down to 1%, so that way there's no spacing. Your opacity is at 100, your flow is at 100. Go ahead and use that for now. And like I said, just go through, and you don't have to be clean about it, just start taking out the background. And then once you get most of the background out, we're going to go into the frustrating part. And so I'm not going to be overly neat. I'm just going to go in and try and get her out as best as I can. And I'll probably go in and clean her up. I might actually make an avatar out of this. So we got as close as we can to the model without actually getting up close to her edges. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and zoom all the way in. So that way you can see her line. Go ahead and grab your brush again. And you're going to go down and you're going to make a small little brush. Now, this is where it gets kind of frustrating, and you're going to need to take a lot of time with it. And this is the reason why I do not cut models all the way out of a background. I do cut some parts of them out because I have adapted a new, I've broken out of my box, so to speak. So I don't make a whole lot of standard avatars anymore. And you're just going to want to make sure you get close to our edges. Make sure that you have a hard brush on, so make sure the hardness is up to 1000. Make sure your opacity is to 100, your flow is to 100. Make sure there is no spacing, so this is at 1%. And get right up to her, or the model, any model, and just start cutting around and taking the background out. Like I said, this is so time consuming and is so, it can get really irritating, especially because you want to try and be as close as you can. There are some mistakes that you can make, because when you do end up shrinking it down, you're not going to see them, which is obviously what you want. You don't want the model to look like it's just been cut out. So trying to get as much of the background out as you can really is going to make it so it doesn't look like that. Okay, I'm not going to finish this because I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours on video and cut out a model. It's not going to let me load this video onto YouTube. However, I am going to talk about drop shadowing. And we had this discussion in the room because Justice was wearing an avatar that he couldn't quite put his finger on, and the problem with it was is that there was no shadow to differentiate from the background when he cut the model out. So it looked a little off. With drop shadowing, you can either go in and you can use your FX panel and you can add a drop shadow that way. Now this is fine and it's going to give you some depth from the model and the background. It's really not the route that I go with on this, and the reason for that is because it doesn't make it look. Let's just go ahead and put it in background. This way you can see what I'm talking about. Put in some sort of background. Or not. Alright, let's try this route. Just going to grab any old background. Alright, we're not going to worry about the background too much because like I said, this is just for information purposes at this point. So here we have a background. We have the model. We have the model essentially cut out. And then we want to make a drop shadow. So really what you're going to do is you're going to take the cutout of the model. Make sure that that is, just apply it. Make sure that's, you know, the parts that we want. Underneath it, we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to make sure that black is our foreground color, and we're going to fill it. And then we're going to go into filters. I'm going to go to blur and Gaussian blur, and we're going to set that way up. So probably we'll go about 46. We've already started to get this type of shadow around her, and that's the point that we want to go. We're going to set that to multiply, and we're going to down a little. Now we're going to duplicate. There we go. Now, the nifty thing about this, merge this down, is that you have some sort of shadow against her. Now you want to make her look more as though it's on the wall. Go ahead and move this over. And then we're going to go ahead and lower the opacity. So it's a little bit darker. And then we're going to duplicate one more time. So it's going to be a little bit darker, and then mess with the opacity again. There you go. See even with this, how it's cut out the way it is, see how it's giving you that shape against the wall? It's going to make the model look like it's supposed to be there. You don't do that, and you just got a model on top of a background. And really, there's no. How many people do you know that stand up against the lighted wall and show no shadow? You want shadow there. So take your time, make a shadow for it, start messing with the opacities and the layer properties and go with it. And you're going to make that model look a little bit more organic to the image. All right, drop shadows.